Hi everybody! I'm so excited to introduce to you all our first guest of the week, Reins of Rhythm. Reins of Rhythm will take you all on a virtual tour of their farm where you'll get to meet superheroes and talk about some of the major themes that we explore in our book Wonder. Some of those themes are choosing kindness and also bullying. I'm so excited to introduce to you all Reins of Rhythm. Yes, I can hear you now. Hi.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you all?
We are well. We are excited to jump right into our field trip here.
All right,
And
let's go.
we're going to meet a superhero. And we want to know if all of our friends knew that some superheroes have 4 legs, a mane, and a tail. Just like this one. So here's our friend Glisten. And the first thing we need to do is learn about safety around horses. Whenever we come to a field trip at Reins of Rhythm, that's our very first thing, safety. So when we're around the horses, safety number 1, we talk in our normal voice. If we yell or shout because we're so excited to be here with our horse friends, unfortunately, the horses would think a bear or something was coming after us and they might get scared and run. So that's our safety rule number 1, just talk in our normal tone of voice, no matter how excited we are to be here on our field trip. Number 2, always walk around the horses. When we're excited, often we want to run up to the horse and give them a big hug. We're so happy to be here with this superhero friend. But if we started to run, 2 things could happen. 1, again, they might think that big bear is coming up after us, and they might start running. They're really big. And I think Glisten would run a little faster than me, and she might accidentally run over me and hurt me. Or another thing that could happen is they just want to join in our excitement and play. And again, she's really big. If she starts running and jumping in excitement, I could get hurt. So just walking will keep me safe with the horses on our field trip. Next safety rule, stay where your superhero horse friend can see you. She does not have eyeballs on her bottom, so if I came walking up behind her and was quiet, she could get scared, and her first line of defense would be to kick out. That, again, could hurt me, even though she would never mean to do that. So to be thinking of her feelings and thinking of helping her stay safe and comfortable, I will always stay where she can see me, which is to the side or far in front of her, and that will help keep us all safe and comfortable. And then the last thing to remember is only feed the horse when their caretaker says it's okay. Horses can get sick if they eat the wrong types of foods, or some horses have allergies or sensitivities. So I will always check in with the horse's caretaker to make sure I can feed them a special treat. Thank you for joining me to learn safety rules at Reins of Rhythm so we can get going with our field trip. Well, we are ready to learn about taking care of horses. So let's move on and meet some more of the Reins of Rhythm horses and learn how to take care of them.
Hi, I'm Miss Ruth, and you're going to join me on a scavenger hunt. Horses have lots of supplies that are needed to help get them ready for us to spend time with them, whether grooming or tacking or riding or just being with them. There are so many items. We've helped make it easy by putting a superhero call out on the items we need to find. So as we find them, we'll learn their names because there's a lot of names to learn along the way. So we're going to start down here, and you're going to see our barn with stalls. Stalls are where horses stay when they're in the barn, but our horses only stay in stalls if we're spending time with them or if they're feeling a little unwell or injured. Otherwise, they get to go out in the pastures and have free time. There are many things to discover when you're at a farm, and we have a pretty special discovery in this stall. What is that? A baby. A baby horse is called a foal. And this baby horse is a little boy horse, so he is called a colt. A little girl horse is called a filly. Now that's a pretty sweet discovery. I'm pretty sure he needs a superhero cape. How about you? His name is Asier, and his mom is Foxy. Foxy is a mare, so a mom girl horse is called a mare. Wow. We always have to have gates. There's lots of gates here at a farm. Why? Because we don't want the horses escaping and running free and having parties without us. What's this? Oh my, I found a superhero call out, did you? This is our girth. And when we groom and tack, we're going to discover what our girth is used for. As we walk down this way, you'll notice this big giant stack of hay. Horses are expert superhero eaters. When we look at this hay, we think, oh, that can't last long. It doesn't. We have hungry horses. Look what I found. This is our curry comb. Be ready to listen for what we do with our curry comb when we meet our horse friend. Buckets are another thing you discover at the horse barn. Lots and lots of buckets. We love to have fun with our buckets, so there's all different colors. Always good to have color. There's our next superhero scavenger hunt item. This one's pretty easy to figure out. It's called a mane and tail brush. That's to brush out our horses' beautiful manes and tails and get all those snarls out. We come this way. We're gonna peek in this room. This room is our feed room. I told you horses eat a lot. Well, they don't just eat hay. They eat grain and they have supplements, which are like taking vitamins for your breakfast. I'm sure some of you take your vitamins. Maybe yours are delicious gummies though. There's our pellets. So I said we have buckets and we talked about horses eating. What else do horses have to have? Water. Horses drink a lot of water. And these hoses help make it easy for us so we don't have to carry the buckets everywhere. So we fill it up with a hose, getting them water. We found another brush. This is our soft brush. We're going to discover more about our soft brush soon. What else do we need when we ride? I see a saddle pad, and I see something else very, very important. Does anybody know what this is? It has straps. It looks like a hat. It is a helmet. Helmet, perhaps the most important thing to wear when we ride. Why would we need to wear a helmet? Do you wear a helmet when you ride a bike? Well, we wear helmets when we're riding horses too, because we need to protect our brains, our heads. Our brains are very, very important for us to protect. And for safety, we always, always want to wear a helmet. Next, oh, I see it. Look, another hose. I told you they drank a lot of water. Here we have our bridle and our reins, which we need to steer our horse when we ride. Over here, we have a wash stall. Who knew that horses need baths? They can get pretty dirty, and giving them baths helps keep them clean and healthy. So we use this special wash stall for that. And right by our wash stall is our saddle. This is an English saddle, and we're going to take a peek so you can see the difference. There's an English saddle and a Western saddle. Our English saddle here has stirrups. We need stirrups on to put our feet in. Let's go peek at a Western saddle while we're thinking about it. Right here is our tack room. It's important to have a tack room to store all your tack. Just look at all this tack. horses. Each horse has a different saddle and a different size. This is your Western saddle. What you'll notice is it has a big horn up here. It's not flat in the front. So Western saddles are mostly used by cowboys and cowgirls, and they need that horn to hold all their lassos to get all those crazy cows. All right. We have one more brush that we need to find. Let's see. Look what I found. Now this doesn't look like a brush, does it? It's actually a grooming tool, and it's called a hoof pick. Who knows that our horses' feet are called hooves? And how many hooves do horses have? Well, we have 2 feet, but we learned from our superhero friend Glisten that horses have 4. So 4 feet. And here is Miss Easter. Miss Easter is going to help us learn more about grooming and tacking. Can you say hi to Easter? Hi, Easter. Let's go. So when we groom and tack, we like to make sure that our horse is in a safe spot. So we're going to use our wash dolls for grooming and tacking. And again, we're following our safety rules. We're staying where Easter can see us. Oh, Easter's slobbering on me. So horses can actually get a lot of slobber from eating too much clover. So who thinks that Easter may have had clover for breakfast? I sure think so. So let's talk about what Easter's wearing right now when I got her out of the stall. She's wearing a halter, and she had a lead rope on. Now you'll see, if you step back, you're going to see I have 2 ties. These are called cross ties, which help Easter stay put while we're working, letting her know you hang out there while we get you ready. So, our first job, which one? Do you think we should tack first or groom first? I'm pretty sure you all said we needed to groom first. So our very first brush that we found is called a curry comb. That's kind of a silly name, huh? Our curry comb is rubbery with these little spikes, but they're really soft and squishy. We use our curry comb in order to get all the dirt and grass and hay and things out of her. When we use our curry comb, we go in a circular motion. And you'll see she kind of relaxes and enjoys it. Grooming feels good. And in the wild, horses groom each other. So it's an act of friendship. It's also an act of respect for our horses to ensure that before we get on and ride them and spend time with them, we put the time and effort into making sure they're comfortable and safe. Because if this little stick here, come see this. I found a stick of hay on Easter. If this was poking into her and I didn't clean it off, and I put her saddle on and then I sat on top of her, that would poke into her and it would feel very, very uncomfortable. You'll see when I'm grooming her that she's also losing some more hair. It's a hot and sweaty day today, and Easter is shedding a little more hair to help keep herself cool. We want to make sure when we groom, we even go under here, and we're going to discover why. Why would I groom my horse's belly? Well, when we discover putting on our girth, you'll see why it's important to make sure she's comfortable and clean down there. Wow, look at all this hair. Miss Easter, you're going to feel better already. Our next brush that we found was our hard brush. We will take our hard brush and go in the direction of her fur. All the little stuff we pulled up with our curry comb, do you see it flying off here? That makes sure it's all off. Look at you, Easter, so clean. And we have to remember that our horses have 2 sides. So we remember, we stay in front where she can see us. We let her know we're coming here. And we want to make sure she's clean and stick-free and thorn-free on all sides. So that's our hard brush. The next brush we have is our soft brush. The soft brush is like the special touch. That just makes her clean and shiny. Going the extra mile for our horse friends is important because they always give us their best and go an extra mile for us. I'm sure on a trail run, you'll be happy if your horse went the extra mile. Our mane and tail brush is just like a comb or a hairbrush that you would use. But when we brush our horse's hair, we want to start at the bottom and work our way up. So if she had snarls up here, I wouldn't be ripping them down. We want to make sure we're soft and gentle, letting them know that this is a fun experience. Look at all that hair. And Sheila had hay. I think she stored snacks up in her hair. Good girl. Our last grooming tool is a very important grooming tool. It's a hoof pick. And we're going to see why. Easter has 4 hoofs. Notice she's standing on them all. If I'm sitting and riding on her, she's going to be carrying my weight and her weight. Well, have you ever tried to run with a rock in your shoe? It doesn't feel good, does it? And just look at all this dirt in Easter's foot. We don't know if there's a rock in there. So every time before we work our horses or ride our horses, we clean their hooves. You'll notice this is very sharp. So when I clean the hooves, a safety rule is I clean down, away from me and Easter. If I was to clean up and miss, I would poke myself or Easter. So we made sure there is no rocks. Do you see this V? That is called a frog. Who knew a horse had a frog? They have 4 of them, 1 in each hoof. That's a pretty fun joke, huh? Okay. So we took the time to make sure that our horse is all groomed. But in order to ride our horse, we need to put tack on them, which we found on our scavenger hunt. So our tack items include our saddle pad. This kind of looks like a big blanket. It's going to go on here, up on Easter's back. We line it up here, and this is called her withers. This is where her saddle pad will stick. You'll see these 2. These are going to help secure it to our saddle so it doesn't slip and slide. So the very next thing we need to put on is our saddle. Who remembers what kind of saddle this is? It doesn't have a horn, so it's not a good saddle for a cowboy. This is an English saddle. So we put it up there. Here's our little tabs that we stick and secure. Help it not slide. Who remembers what these are called? Stirrups. Stirrups. Okay, so earlier, for some reason, we groomed our horse's belly. Why did we do that? Because our horse needs a girth. If I climbed on the saddle now, what would happen? It would slide off. The horse's girth acts like a belt. So when we put it on, we loop it through here. But again, as we're learning about spending time with our horses, we're learning about being their friends. So when we start, we put the girth on very loosely. That way, it's not like putting their belt on tight right away. We're going slow. So let her know, good girl. Tap under here to let her know we're reaching under your belly. So the girth obviously has 2 sides because we would want to secure our saddle all the way around. All right. So there's our girth on. Before we would get on and ride, we would make sure that our girth is nice and secure. That's good for us and good for our horses because it doesn't feel good for our horses if their saddle slides when we're trying to climb on their backs. So the last thing I need before we go on our ride is helmet. Put our helmet on. We need to make sure we secure it because our helmets only work if we put them on correctly. Then we're going to see what it looks like. We pull our stirrups down and go for a ride. Who do we see? Easter's ears. When we're on for our ride, watching our horse's ears is very important because our horse's ears can tell us how they're feeling. Right now, Easter's ears are going back and forth, back and forth. That means she's listening to us and she understands we're her leader. If Easter's ears were laid way back, that would mean she's either pretty upset or maybe even scared. Her ears are way forward. She's alert. Maybe she saw a woodchuck or a skunk on the trail. Then we would want to be alert and let her know, it's okay, we can be brave. So paying attention to our horses is a way we can be a good friend and be a good team together to ride safely. Now you're going to go out and see Miss Patience and Charlie.
Hello again, friends. It's Miss Patience again, and this time I'm here with our friend Charlie. Charlie is a miniature horse. He's all grown up. This is as big as he will ever be. He is over 20 years old. And today, Charlie is going to read the story with us, Bully in the Barn. Before we start reading the story, there is a link that you guys all have, or maybe it's printed out for us a piece of paper with a little form for us to fill out. Yours is a lot brighter colored than this, but let's take a look. Charlie, the first question on our form says, do you understand what bullying is? And there's some faces that look a little sad with a question mark saying no. Or there's some faces that say, I think I do. Like, I don't know, maybe I know what bullying is. And the last one is yes, for if you do know what it is. So for each of these questions, we're going to draw a line to the face. First question, I understand what bullying is. What do you think? I think Charlie's nose touched I think I do. Let's go to the next question. I understand what to do when bullied. Charlie, what do you think about if you get bullied? Do you know what to do? Charlie just touched the no. He's not sure what to do when he gets bullied. I understand why people or horses bully. What do you think, Charlie? He's falling asleep on us. But he says, I think I do. Last question before we get going. I know who to tell when I am bullied. Yes, Charlie says. Well, we'll talk about each of these things a little bit more as we get going. But first, we have a story to read. You should all have a heart in your materials. And if you don't have one, you can get a piece of paper and draw a heart on it, and that will work too. As we read our story, every time that we hear something happen that we think might put a wrinkle in somebody's heart, like hurt their feelings or make them sad, we are going to put a wrinkle in our heart because bullying hurts people and makes them sad. And you can never take away the wrinkles all the way when you've been unkind or when somebody's been unkind to you. It leaves a wrinkle on our heart or leaves a wrinkle on somebody's heart who's been bullied. So Charlie's going to help us with this. Charlie, you weren't sure what bullying is. Bullying is when someone is unkind on purpose. If someone purposely makes unkind, hurtful choices. Well, Bully in the Barn by Lisa Nolden, illustrated by Troy Pawlowski. Bully in the Barn. Sunny Hill Farm was a quiet, peaceful place where all of the farm animals got along well. Well, that sounds like here at Reins of Rhythm, doesn't it, Charlie? Everybody gets along pretty well here. Except for Calvin. Oh, there's a picture of Calvin. You see, Calvin was a bully. He was a little bit bigger and a lot meaner than the other horses. And he always wanted things his way. As a matter of fact, Calvin went out of his way to make the lives of the other horses in the barn miserable. I heard Charlie just make a little sigh. Horses are very sensitive to emotions, our feelings, and voices, just as humans are very sensitive and emotional creatures. And we need to listen to each other and pay attention to each other's thoughts and feelings. Bear was Calvin's only friend because Bear did whatever Calvin told him to do and helped Calvin bully the others. So Bear made the choice to follow Calvin and do what Calvin did. And in return, Bear did not get bullied by Calvin, as long as he did whatever Calvin told him to. All of the other horses were targets for Calvin, who even liked to tease the sheep. But one horse especially took the brunt of Calvin's bullying. Oh. And his name was Kelpie. And Kelpie was a little smaller and not as fast as the other horses. So Calvin picked on him constantly. When it was time to go out of the barn and into the fields to graze and play each morning, Kelpie had to wait until Calvin said it was okay for him to go. Some days, Calvin stood in front of the gate for hours, blocking Kelpie from going out to the field to play with his friends, as all the others grazed and romped. Kelpie stood with his head low, waiting for Calvin to get tired and move away from the gate so he could get through. If Kelpie tried to pass by Calvin, even in a polite way, Calvin would lay his ears back and kick at Kelpie. When a horse pins their ears back, that means they are angry or mad. Occasionally, Calvin would let Kelpie by him, only to chase and taunt him as he ran to his herd mates. So when Kelpie went through and tried to get to his friends, Calvin chased him all the way. Oh. Sometimes Calvin would make a deal with Kelpie and let him in the field if Kelpie gave him his evening grain to Calvin. So the only way he would be nice to Calvin was by saying, if you let me have your food tonight and have your dinner, I'll be nice to you. This is sad. All of his bullying was starting to take its toll on Kelpie. He began to feel very sad and became more and more afraid of Calvin each day. He started to wonder why he was so picked on and thought, maybe I'm not such a valuable horse. No one dared to help Kelpie because if they did, they knew that they would become a target of Calvin. So no friends even helped him out. One day, Kelpie refused to come out of his stall. The farmer tried everything he could do to get Kelpie out, but he was so upset that not only would he not leave his stall, but he stopped eating as well. No one knew what to do. The very next day, as the morning sun rose in the sky, a horse trailer with a new horse in it pulled up to the barn. Out of the trailer came a shiny bay horse named Nick. The farmer put Nick in a stall right next to Kelpie. Nick was a handsome horse who had a confident and cheery personality. Everyone admired this new horse and all were eager to meet him. Since Nick had traveled far through the night, the farmer decided to keep him in the barn while the others were turned out so he could get some much-needed rest.
Now, Nick was a very friendly horse, and he wasn't feeling very tired at the moment, so he started up a conversation with Kelpie. At first, Kelpie didn't say much, but Nick was so polite and pleasant to talk to that the two became friends immediately. Well, there's something nice happening for Kelpie. Somebody helping him out and talking to him. Soon, Kelpie told Nick of the troubles he was having with Calvin and how depressed he had become. When somebody keeps being mean to you, it can get very hard to stay happy. The two horses looked out the barn doors as Kelpie pointed each horse out and told Nick their names. He was sure to point out Calvin and Bear so that Nick could be warned. Nick didn't seem at all concerned with meeting Calvin and said to Kelpie, "You are just as valuable as Calvin, and you should not be bullied by anyone." Nick made Kelpie feel good about himself as they spent the day together. And by dinner time, Kelpie had an appetite again. By this time, the farmer had realized that Calvin was causing some problems in the herd. The next morning, the farmer decided to keep Calvin in his stall until all the other horses were turned out first, including the new horse, Nick. When it was time to bring Nick outside, Kelpie whinnied to go along with him. And to the farmer's surprise, Kelpie happily trotted out of the field side by side with Nick. He looks pretty happy now. Kelpie introduced everyone to Nick, one by one, as his new friend. The herd all got along very well as they romped and grazed in the field together. At noontime, the farmer decided to let Calvin and Bear out with the others. When Kelpie saw the two horses walking out toward them, he became very afraid. Nick saw this, and he gathered everyone around. He told Kelpie to move into the middle of the herd so that he would feel safe with everyone around him. Then he started talking to the others about Calvin. Nick said, "You know, maybe Calvin isn't as bad as everyone thinks. After all, really, he is just the rest of us. He's no bigger than I am. He's the same color as Dancer. He eats the same food as all of us, and he gets no special treatment by the farmer. Maybe he just wants to be included like everyone else. Has anyone invited him and Bear to come and play with you lately? It would be a lot better if everyone worked as a team and looked out for each other, including Calvin and Bear. Oh, teamwork always makes everybody feel better." Well, I'm not sure that's going to work anymore, Calvin. Oh, did I miss a page? I did. Okay. So Nick looked at Kelpie and he said, "Let's try to talk with Calvin and see if he wants to be friends." Oh, great idea. "But if he bothers you again, you must come tell someone about it, and we must all help each other out." As Calvin and Bear approached the herd, Nick stepped up and introduced himself to them. "Hi, I'm Nick. Glad to meet you," Calvin replied. "Yeah, well, I'm Calvin and I run this place, so you better do what I tell you or else." Ooh, that did sound threatening and scary, didn't it, Charlie? Well, I'm not sure that's going to work anymore, Calvin, because we all decided that getting along together is a lot more fun than all this fighting, said Nick. "We're going to stick together as a team, but we'd like it if you and Bear would join us. It would be a lot more fun if we had two more for playing our team games. What do you say? Calvin, you look pretty strong. And Bear, you look like you're really fast. We could sure use you on our teams." Bear and Calvin whispered to each other. They weren't sure about Nick's surprise invitation. Bear was very excited to join in with the others. Calvin was not as willing at first, but the more Calvin thought about it, the more he realized that if he didn't join in, he would be all alone, and that didn't seem like any fun. So Calvin reluctantly agreed to join in with the herd. And for the rest of the day, they played game after game with Calvin on one team and Bear on another. Everyone had fun. And when it was time to go in for the night, Calvin politely stepped aside and he let Kelpie through the gate first. Kelpie flashed Calvin a big smile and he winked to his new friend Nick. The farmer watched what had gone on all day and he was very pleased. After the evening feed, the farmer went to Calvin's stall and he gave him a pat on the neck and he said, I am very proud of you, Calvin. You did a good job today. I hope you never go back to bullying, but if you do, I will have to put you in a field all by yourself and no more games with the others because I can't let the other horses hurt. As he passed by Kelpie's stall, the farmer gave him a warm rub and then he turned to Nick and said, thank you. Well, that was the end of our story, and we can see that our heart got a lot of those wrinkles smoothed out. But remember that unkind actions and words will leave a wrinkle on somebody's heart forever and hurt them. They make it hard for them to trust. And what did we learn from this story, Charlie? I think we learned, well, a reason for bullying. Maybe Calvin wanted to be asked to be with the others. And by Nick asking him to join them and play, he felt a part of the team and he did stop. We also learned that speaking up and telling somebody when something is wrong and you need something is very important to solving being bullied. If Kelpie hadn't spoken up, then Nick would have been able to help him solve the problem so that he wouldn't get bullied anymore. Our horses are enjoying a little snack over here. We're just going to watch them for a minute as we talk some more about the story. So they have some eggs, something in the bucket. There's over by some water. Flash is asking if he may come over for a snack. Remember how we heard in the story that Calvin pinned his ears and kicked a leg out at Kelpie, and that meant that he was driving another horse off with unkindness. He was mad. Charlie and Flash are sharing. What happens when Rose comes back to the hay pile? What did you guys notice for the horses' ears? As you watch the herd of horses, do you see any horse that you think is having any bullying type behaviors? Which horses do you think are friendly? Rocky came right up to the camera to say hi to you guys. Do any of the horses look like they're shy? Do any of the horses in this herd look shy? There's Cinder all by herself with the water. If you were one of these horses, which horse would it be? Which horse is you when you are shy?
horses you see out here remind you of your friends or family members? Is there one horse that you would like to talk to here? If you could talk to any horse here, which one would you go up to talk to and tell anything you wanted to about? These look like some pretty happy horses, getting along nicely and sharing. Looking at you guys. There's Faith. She's curious. She would like somebody to talk to her, wouldn't she? We're going to take one more look around at each horse in our herd here. And then we're going to pull our form back up because there was another form after our story. And it looks just like the first one that we did. But we learned a lot about bullying. We learned what bullying is when somebody is unkind on purpose. I think we found out what to do when we are bullied. Find someone to tell about the problem. Or if you see someone being bullied, stick up for them and help them out. Don't just do what the bully says. And Rocky says the next one is, yes, now we understand sometimes why people or horses might bully. They might feel left out and want to be invited and included. And we know who to tell when we're bullied. Find someone that can help you. So if you guys can all take a minute and fill out your form again now that we've read this story. Thank you, Charlie, for reading Bully in the Barn with us and helping us learn about bullying and how we can prevent bullying. Faith is very interested in it too. All right, and once you fill out that form, hit the send button and that will help us out. Well, we're going to go ahead on in here to the barn and check back in with the superhero that we very first met who helped us with our state. I was not surprised like yours. It was always feelings. And we talked about how horses, if they can't see what's coming up, they could be startled. So we're just going to say, how good is this? Oh, look at this. This superhero is a little bit taller. She's taking our breaths. Listen, thank you for helping us out on our field trip today. We've had so much fun. And we want to thank WellSpan and the Partnership for Better Health for making today's field trip with our superhero horses and our ponytails on bullying prevention and awareness possible for so many kids. Thank you for joining us here at Reins of Rhythm, guys. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Let's give a big thank you to Reins of Rhythm. Thank you, Reins of Rhythm, for joining us virtually. You will all be sent some worksheets that Reins of Rhythm would really appreciate you to fill out. Please follow along and fill these out before and after you watch the virtual field trip. Stay tuned because tomorrow we're going country line dancing. Bye, everybody.